New question. Let's first understand the question sentence. And it's asking us here, for how many minutes are at least 2 buses in service at the same time? Okay, everybody. So when I read that back and I highlight for how many minutes, so we're looking for a time period, are at least 2 buses in service at the same time. That's the key here. Same time, simultaneously, everybody. So when we go ahead and map out this problem, let's think about what that actually means. So it looks like we have bus A and we also have bus B over here. So given that we have bus A and bus B, what I am going to propose is, hey, let's just go ahead and create some blocks of time for these buses. So let's say bus A right over here. Bus A runs from 7 a.m. to 7:40 a.m. And then we have this duplicated over here because then it takes a little bit of a break. And then this bus runs a little bit shorter here, but that's going to be from 8 a.m. through 8:30 a.m. So before I continue, my party people, does that make some general sense before I continue? If we're taking a look at bus A, we see that bus A runs from 7 a.m. to 7:40, 7 a.m. to 7:40, 8 a.m. to 8:30, over here, 8 a.m. to 8:30, right? Cool. So now let's imagine bus B. And I'll use a different color for that. I'll use blue. And I'll say over here, bus B runs from 7:20 a.m. to 8:10 a.m. So let's grab one of these blocks and let's show that kind of right over here. Because again, it starts just before 7:40. That's going to be 7:20. And it runs slightly after than 8 a.m. because it stops running at 8:10. My party people, what we want to do now is understand the question itself. The question itself asks, for how many minutes are both buses in service at the same time? So when we consider that question, really what we're trying to look at is one, let me go ahead and just draw this straight vertical line for myself. So I'm going to bring this right here and right there. This first piece is where they are both running. Everybody, do we agree that that is an overlap where both buses are indeed running? Yeah, that's definitely going to be one interval. Now, when we try to calculate what that time interval is, let's think about it. Because this point right here is 7:20 a.m. and where bus A ends is at 7:40 a.m. Everybody, what is that time period from 7:20 to 7:40 a.m.? How long is that time period? Yeah, that's going to be 20 minutes. That's going to be 20 minutes. So let me just draw a little arrow there. That is a 20-minute gap. Now, if I do the same exact thing, everyone, if I do the same exact thing right over here, notice that we have 8 a.m. is where the bus A starts up again. And when bus A starts up again, notice that bus B is still running. It's still running. So what is that gap of time, everybody? Well, we're going to duplicate this over and we're going to stop right here because bus B stops at 8:10. Again, bus B stops at 8:10. And if bus A starts up at exactly 8 a.m., how wide is that gap? How much time is this green gap, everybody? How much time is that? 10 minutes. From 8 a.m. to 8:10, that's going to be 10 minutes. So everyone, if we are trying to go ahead and confirm, hey, for how many minutes are these buses running at the exact same time? Well, we had a 20-minute interval right here and a 10-minute interval right there. Add those together, 20 plus 10, And that leaves us off at 30 total minutes, which makes our final correct answer here, my party people. Answer choice B. All right, let's handle this next problem, again, with the same grace as any other question. Knowing, what we comprehend, using what we know to just chip away at the problem. So this problem might feel a little different because we have a parentheses here. We have 2 multiplied by parentheses x plus 1 equals 10. But my party people, I got a question. Because we can't get the x by itself if there's a parentheses in the way, right? That's going to be a little tough. That's going to be a little awkward, a little difficult. But my question is this. What operation are we observing between the 2 and this group, this parentheses? What operation are we observing with the 2? Oh yeah, that's multiplication. Who knows the proper term that we're about to apply here to multiply the 2 onto the x and the 1? Who knows the proper term? Distribution, exactly. Perfectly said. Absolutely. So we have 2 multiplied by parentheses x plus 1 equals 10. Booyah. So what we're going to do now is distribute the 2 onto both of those terms, onto the x and onto the 1. This is something that a lot of people mistake. A lot of folks think that, hey, I only have to multiply the 2 with the x and I'm done. No. Distribution works by making sure that every term on the outside multiplies with every term on the inside. So what this is going to turn into is 2 multiplied by x, which is going to be 2x. And then we have 2 multiplied by 1, which is going to be 2, because 2 times 1 is 2. Everything on the right side stays the same. It's still 10. Notice that it's just this parentheses that got multiplied. So now that we're here, we still are going to take it, again, one step at a time. This looks a little more familiar, right? So now we can use that familiarity to knock this down in 2 more steps. Step 1, we're going to handle the plus 2. I want to get rid of that plus 2 right here. And that's going to be by subtracting 2 on both sides. Once we do that, cancels out on the left side. And now what we have is 2x on the left side, and then 10 minus 2, which is 8 on the right side. So the last thing that we're going to do is, again, we're still working opposite operations. So what we have now is we want to do the opposite of multiply by 2, which is going to be dividing by 2 on both sides. Just like that, nice and easy. Bam, cancels out, and we have x equals 4. And there we are. The correct answer to this question is going to be x equals 4. All right, next example. We have ourselves 3m on the outside of the parentheses with 2m plus n on the inside. So how we're going to handle this is the same way that we have using that distributive property. So the 3m will multiply with the 2m. And then the 3m will also multiply with the n. So 3m multiplied by n. So now that we've done that, sweet, we're good to go. We are set. So now let's take care of each individually. So 3m times 2m, 3 times 2 is 6. M times m, that's going to create m squared. Remember, 2 of the same thing multiplied together, that is the same as squaring that item. Now up next, we're going to take a look at the 3mn. Well, there's nothing to multiply here. The 3, the m, and the n are all different. Those cannot be multiplied together. So we're just going to write 3mn, and that's it. All done. This one was a fairly quicker one relative to what we've been doing so far. But there we are nonetheless, everybody. There's the answer to that next one. Now, I hope you know that after every easy one comes a harder one. So let's go ahead and turn our attention over to the next practice problem.